There's Paul Hudrick from 97.3 ESPN.com. He'll be in the building tonight for Sixers and Celtics. Now, I want to get your take on this, Paul, because we've been going back and forth the last 20 minutes or so on this topic. Ben Simmons' scoring is way down. Not way down. It's 5 points down, which it sounds like way down, but it's really 2 buckets and a foul shot when you look at it. I don't really care. I agree with Doc. If I'm scoring 117 points, I don't care where the points are coming from. Broads would say he needs to start scoring more. Do you agree that he needs to be around 17 points? Or are you okay if he's scoring 11? I look at it and say, look, Shake Milton's stat numbers are up. Embiid's are up. Curry's are up. Someone's got to go down, unless they're up to 127 points a game. But do you think that if they're scoring 117 and these guys continue playing at their level, that Simmons is okay staying around 11 to 12? Would you be all right with that?
I do, as long as the playoffs, like that's where I'm most worried. If it gets to a point where the way Ben Simmons plays and the way other teams play against him, if that starts hurting the other players around him, then I'm worried. But I do think, Mike, and we've touched on this before, the idea of, listen, he is great at what he does. He's a great defender. He's great in transition. He could do a lot of other things really well. And if you have Joel Embiid scoring 26 points a game, you have Seth Curry playing, the best basketball of his career, Tobias Harris playing the best basketball he's ever played as a Sixer, and you're getting the production, like you said, from Shake Milton off the bench. If you're getting those points, I do tend to agree with Doc that, if it's working, then okay, then keep it going and keep going. And there's no need for Ben Simmons to kind of take shots that maybe aren't in his wheelhouse that could hurt the rest of the offense. Now, I think, Broads, you also raise a good point, too. The idea of, look, this guy was the number 1 overall pick. I get it. There were rumors that he was going to be in a trade for James Harden. You see what James Harden does. So I understand that frustration level. But I do think that, look, I don't think Ben Simmons needs to be a 15, whatever you want to name it. He doesn't need to be that guy for this team to have success. Would it help if he scored a few more points? Yes, I do think it would help. And I do think he needs to be a little bit better. But I do think if Joel Embiid continues to play at an MVP level and Seth Curry and Tobias Harris continue their level and Shake Milton keeps ascending, then, yeah, I think there is a way that Ben Simmons doesn't need to be that guy in order for this team to have success.
Yeah, we're getting text messages saying that they trade him for a bag of basketballs. Now, I'm not getting to that level by any means, but I'm frustrated with him. So, look, in the playoffs, that's what I'm looking forward to. And the building the wall concept has been big for him, and the Boston Celtics kind of put that on display. Do you think it's possible, due to him being so erratic at the rim at this point and so uncomfortable, that teams might try a philosophy of, go ahead, Ben, try and beat us with your twos? I mean, it's not like you've been playing well that way and you're getting offensive fouls. You can't stop on a dime. Like, he's running into guys all over the place. Is that a possibility?
Well, you just see the way defenses have played him over the years, and that's the way they're going to keep playing him. They're going to keep playing way off him until they have a reason. You also look at a guy like Giannis. Giannis shoots threes now. He shoots twos. Guess what? They still don't guard him out there because they'd much rather live with that than him driving to the basket. I will say, though, Bros, just to touch on that a little bit, for me, an encouraging sign of that last Boston game, he had 3 turnovers. All 3 were offensive fouls. Now, to me, that's better than him picking up his dribble at the foul line, turning around, and throwing a pass blindly the other way. At least him, it's not great, obviously, because it's still a turnover, but the fact that, I can live with those turnovers. I can live with turnovers where he is being aggressive and trying to get to the rim. And I would say at least 2 of those calls, at least the last 2, were very questionable, especially the one where it seemed like Green kind of landed underneath his feet and then Simmons had kind of no choice but to bowl him over. So I would say I prefer those turnovers. I prefer him to be aggressive and turn the ball over that way, as opposed to him picking up his dribble and blindly throwing passes. So I do think defenses, they're just going to keep playing him this way. And they played him this way last year when he had the best stretch of his career. So there's no reason why he can't play a similar brand of basketball. We'll see what it looks like when all the parts are here. But yeah, I get the frustration. I get that it's frustrating to watch, teams kind of wall up on him, and then that's what they do. But I think that going back to the first question, this might be the way he has to play. He might just have to fit into the way everyone else is playing and everyone else is scoring, and he's just going to have to play a secondary role in that.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I just jotted some numbers down real fast, okay? Embiid last year, 23. He's at 26, okay? Shake Milton last year was at 9. He's at 16. Tobias is the same, 19 and 19. Curry is at 17. Richardson was at 13. Maxi's got 10. Shake Milton scoring 8 extra. I mean, so in other words, it's like these guys scoring out. Do you want Shake Milton to score less?
Well, let me throw this at you, though. Like, with that being said, right, like some of that with Maxey and Milton is with Ben being off the floor. So if you want him, like, I'm just trying to throw it out here. Like, are there numbers up when Ben isn't on the floor and he doesn't have much to do with that part of it? Like, I'm just trying to process all the information.
Yeah, it just seems like other guys' production's up, and we're excited. Shake Milton, look at him. But if all of a sudden Milton was down to 14 and Ben was up to 15, are you as excited about – it's like a give and take here. You know what I mean? We're excited about Milton because he's scoring 16. But if Ben's taking 5 of his points away, he's down to 11, and it's like, I'm not as excited about Milton.
Well, that's kind of the argument I got into someone who an old colleague of mine that I trust his opinion greatly. But we kind of got into that argument. Like he said, like, oh, well, Simmons, they need more from him down the stretch. Listen, Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris were scoring. I think they had combined 64 points last game. So do you want to take shots away from them for Simmons to, drive to the basket and come to a wall? Or you know what I mean? Like I think that's an excellent point, Mike. It's the idea of focus on the strengths. What can Ben Simmons do? And right now, and really ever, Ben Simmons has never been a scorer. That's never what he's been best at. He's best as a facilitator, a screen setter. I think that's one thing. Like I get, like people hear that and they're like, "Oh, he's the number 1 overall pick," and you're telling me he's a great screen setter. I know that, but it's still a skill, and it's still something that he is very good at. And defensively, like we just all gloss over how good this guy is defensively. He played with 5 fouls for the last couple minutes of that game and still impacted the game defensively. That is not an easy thing to do. So, yes, I think Ben Simmons needs to be better offensively. I'm going to keep repeating that because I do think he needs to be a little bit better. Again, with the turnovers, that's my biggest thing is I don't like the turnovers. But I do think there is something to the idea that other guys are scoring points, so it's up to him to put those guys in position to score more points, not score more points himself.
Somebody brought up an interesting point and said the Sixers were 41-14 and traded for Mutombo. Why? Defense. And that's another thing is you take Ben's defense off. This team the other night against Boston, they locked Boston down in that fourth quarter, and a lot of that is because Ben just picks and chooses which guy he wants to take out of the game in that fourth quarter. And I think we're so stuck on Ben scoring more that we're not understanding this team is winning. They're scoring 117 points, by the way, but in the end, they're not offensively as talented as Brooklyn or Milwaukee. If they're going to beat them, it's going to be because they play great defense. And to do that, they need Ben Simmons.
Yeah, listen, Ben Simmons, to me, I thought he should have been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year. Should he have won it? I don't know, but he should have been a candidate to be sure. I think already this year, I think he's already proven that he can be a candidate again. He's a first-team all-defensive team pick, and I think he's going to be that probably for the rest of his career. And I think sometimes we do get lost in that. There are 2 ends to a basketball floor, and defense is still really, really valuable. And I am
You don't get fantasy stats for defense, man.
Correct. And I'm so fascinated. I really want to see what happens when they do play Brooklyn, when they do play in Milwaukee, and what happens the last 2 minutes of those games when everything tightens up. And yes, Ben Simmons will be, and we'll just say it, he will be a minus offensively. There is no doubt about it. But you're not counting on him. You're counting on Joel Embiid, and you're counting on Tobias Harris and Seth Curry to hit shots. That's what you're counting on when the game's end. But on the other end of the floor, you're looking for Embiid to defend the paint and for Ben Simmons to lock down the best perimeter player. And like when you look at a team like the Nets, KD's had his moments defensively where he's been really good, but they don't have a guy like that. Who is their guy that's gonna shut down? And like DeAndre Jordan can't guard Joel Embiid one-on-one. Who do they have that's gonna guard Tobias Harris one-on-one? I'll be so fascinated when those matchups happen, when it really is elite offense versus elite defense and kind of like a grinded out game. What happens then? I am like so curious to see what happens.
Yeah, this is a new mindset for me. I've been one of the biggest Ben supporters forever, and then over like the last couple of weeks, I cracked. I really did. So due to the spacing with this team, some are optimistic that this will work in the playoffs. What if we get another playoffs of him being shut down, maybe the ball being taken out of his hand, going to Shake Milton down the stretch, and it's just ugly for him? At what point is it, this is just not going to work with the ball in his hands in the slowed down game?
Well, listen, I'll go on record as saying this. When Brett Brown moved him to the 4 last year, I thought that was the right move. So Doc Rivers he refuses to call Ben Simmons a point guard, but we're all watching. He's a point guard. He's playing like a point guard right now. He brings the ball up. He initiates the offense. He is the point guard. I am in favor of Ben Simmons playing more off the ball and having Seth Curry, or whether it's Seth Curry in the starting lineup, whether it's Shake Milton in the secondary lineups, I would much rather see those guys with the basketball, and Ben Simmons can cut off that. He can play in the dunker spot and get offensive rebounds and catch lobs, and can run pick and rolls and catch lobs off that, or find, corner threes off short rolls. Like, there are ways to use Ben Simmons where it's not him as a point guard. Now, I think Doc Rivers, and this is me kind of just speculating and just, off of what Doc says, he's going to give Ben Simmons this opportunity to run the show, see what he does. And bros, if it gets to the point where we're nearing playoff basketball and it still looks kind of like this, and Ben Simmons, there are signs that maybe Ben Simmons can't do this, Doc Rivers, I would hope, would make that adjustment and see, all right, maybe we need to put the ball in Seth Curry's hands more. We need to use Ben in the pick and roll. We need to use Ben in the dunker spot, maybe. But yeah, I think for now, Doc Rivers is going to ride this out. Again, they're 7-0 with this version of the starting lineup. They're going to play again tonight. We'll see what happens. So I think Doc wants to give this some time, let it play out, and as it warrants, I do think he'll make adjustments.
By the way, on Twitter, 76ers record with Simmons, not all that good. So when he's out, whether he's scoring, not scoring, whatever it is, they have problems winning games for whatever reason when he's not on the floor. So keep that in mind, too. All right, Paul Hudrick, 97.3 ESPN.com. We're going to flash on the screen a couple trades that have come in. So we keep hearing, gotta trade Simmons. So we asked, give us a realistic one. So I want to get your opinion on some. How about this one?
Donovan Mitchell. I don't see that happening. I can't imagine the Utah Jazz. That's their guy.
Would you do it? Would you trade Ben Simmons for Donovan Mitchell?
Maybe.
Oh, he gives us a maybe. I went full yes. I'm going yes.
I would say maybe, only because I don't at that point. You definitely don't have a point guard, because Donovan Mitchell has taken over more ball handling duties in Utah, but he still has Mike Conley with him. So I would have to think long and hard about that, but I would consider it because I do think Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid could be really dangerous together. So I would entertain that.
Ben Simmons to the Bulls for Zach LaVine and Wendell Carter.
No.
That
wouldn't do it.
Quick no. Zach LaVine's a guy that a lot of people are interested in.
I like Zach LaVine. I don't like Zach LaVine that much. I think Zach LaVine can dribble a basketball and he can shoot a basketball, which would benefit this team in a lot of ways. But that people that love this trade clearly have never seen Zach LaVine play defense, because he doesn't as much as Zach LaVine is better than Ben Simmons as a shooter and a ball handler, Ben Simmons is that much better defensively than Zach LaVine. So that's where I would be concerned. Would I be interested in Zach LaVine in general? Yeah, 100%. But I would not want to include Ben Simmons in that deal.
All right. Very popular one. Ben Simmons for Devin Booker.
How fast can I make that call? Because Devin Booker's unbelievable. Yeah, I would do that one in a heartbeat, because I think Devin Booker is he's got the potential one day, I think, to be like an MVP kind of player, Devin Booker. I think he's that good. So if the Suns really wanted to do that move, yes, I would take Devin Booker here in a heartbeat.
All right. Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Ball for Ben Simmons, and a young, promising guy.
That's interesting. I would have to think
about
that.
That's Lonzo Ball, by the way.
Right,
this is a New Orleans deal.
Right, and then I think that would work. That could work on the idea that you would have Ball, so you would have a legitimate point guard. Brandon Ingram did just sign an extension, so you would have him in the fold. He can score from the outside, from the inside, can drive. I love Josh Hart, the idea of bringing him off the bench as an energy guy and a guy who can just do a little bit of everything. That's tough. I would think long and hard about that one. Not sure if I'd pull the trigger, though.
All right. Alan says he would trade Ben Simmons for Aaron Gordon. That's an outie.
No. Out.
All right.
Nope.
That's quick out. How about this one? CJ McCollum.
The only reason I would lean no is McCollum's age. That's it, though. If they were both 24 years old and had the same contract, I would do it.
Trae Young.
Yes, but their defense would suffer so much, but I would still do it just because Trae Young's so ridiculously talented.
De'Aaron Fox from the Dank Burrito with Paul Hudrick wearing the Legalize It shirt.
It's Legalize Kemp, not Legalize It, but yeah. But De'Aaron Fox, no, but I do like De'Aaron Fox a lot.
But think about what we're doing right now. Seriously. I
think we're having fun.
No, we're having a great time, but I think this just shows you, why we're at where we're at is because the guy is at that point now here.
Yeah, and by the way, the caveat is I'm not endorsing trading Ben Simmons. I don't think I'm not at the point where I feel it's a necessity. Like I need a lot more to see. Like defense I value. I come to terms with maybe he's this team's Dennis Rodman. We talked about it the other day. Like, I'm okay with a Hall of Fame level role player.
Yeah, I mean, that's for me. I again, for like the millionth time, I understand the frustration with fans. I get it, but he is 24 years old. His extension just kicked in. And he's made 2 All-Star teams. To make 2 All-Star teams at 24 years old and to have this contract ahead of you, that is a really attractive player. Like, other teams would want him. So if you want to argue with me that him and Joel Embiid maybe long-term that doesn't work out, okay, I can entertain that, but I'm not there yet. And the only way I am trading Ben Simmons is if I am I want an all-star in return, and it needs to make sense. It needs to be a perfect fit with Joel Embiid.
I agree with that. I can't wait for you guys to crack with me.
This is like a amped up version of coming in for a landing. Live comments and live reaction from Paul Hudrick. You'll be there tonight against the Celtics. It'll be interesting to see how Brad Stevens maybe changes his game plan tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the big men, it's very clear the Boston Celtics just don't have the bigs that can compete with Joel. Like Tristan Thompson just stands no chance against them, and even Daniel Tice. Even though Daniel Tice has never committed a foul in his career, according to Daniel Tice. But I'm curious to see. I would suspect way more double teams, way more attention. But with that, you're getting Seth Curry back in the lineup, so that's going to put them in a bind too. So I'm very intrigued to see what Brad Stevens does, how Joel Embiid reacts to it, and basically how the whole Sixers roster kind of reacts to it, and if they kind of make them pay for paying so much attention to Joel Embiid.
All right, follow at Paul Hudrick tonight. He will be at the Wells Fargo Center. Sixers and the Celtics, and 7:30 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tomorrow night, the game has been moved to 8 o'clock against the Pistons. We have that for you as well. And, of course, Paul, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. All right, that was fun. Take care, man.
You too.
All right, Paul Hudrick with us here, our Sixers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com.